boxes where you mail letters and the post office picks them up. Recently, I mailed a check off to the Chesapeake City Treasurer's office to pay my real estate tax and stormwater bill, and it was compromised by a Deshaun Ridley. I know it was compromised because my bank was generous enough to call me and let me know about it. They said recently people have been using invisible ink. They use that on the check and then they write in their own name and their own number. So I sent a check to the Chesapeake City Treasurer's office. This is very official. And I had it for $44.10. Apparently, Deshaun Ridley changed the Chesapeake City Treasurer's office as payee to himself, Deshaun Ridley, and it was $44.10, and then he changed it to like $4,410. Yeah. Now my dad, I said, how would this happen? And he said he's heard of scams where people are going in the blue boxes, they're taking a little fishing pole, and they're fishing out letters. Now it's just a coincidence that Deshaun Ridley only took out the letter from the Chesapeake City Treasurer's office. I had sent 3 other letters out, one to Dominion Power, one to Chase Automotive Enterprise Finance, and one to Greenbrier Property Association. And I went ahead and put a hold on those checks, well, 2 of them at least. And because the Property Association received a check. They told me it and they shredded it. Now, Dominion Power and Chase, I don't know. I called them and let them know of the situation. I told them if they get the check, just go ahead and shred it. But Dominion said they can't do that. They might end up going to cash it. They'll put a notation. So therefore, then I went to the bank and I got the bank to put a $35, a charge. I had to put a hold on those 2 checks so that I wasn't inconveniencing my power company and my loan company, JP Morgan Chase Enterprise Auto Finance. Now, I'm just kind of questioning this Deshaun Ridley guy. Let's say that for any reason the DEA wanted to be corrupt, or they were investigating me thinking that I smoked a pot at one day in my life and they wanted to seize my house, over something like that. Now, if they're doing it legally, that's fine. But if they're doing it illegally, like messing with one of the blue boxes, that's fraudulent. I mean, maybe I'm a conspiracy crazy theorist, but all I'm saying is if the DEA or anybody is going into that blue box, that is a federal offense. I don't care what your prerogative is. If you went into that blue box, you should be in a federal prison. And what's crazy to me is this happened a week or 2 ago. And I went to the bank and I filed out a fraudulent form. But now I'm starting to say, well, how do I know that the bank isn't in on this? So I'm going to go ahead now, and I'm a little late, but now all I'm saying is if this has happened to you, immediately you should go to the post office, you should put a hold on those checks that you sent out near that day. You should go fill out a fraudulent form at your bank. And now I'm realizing I should have already went to the post office and possibly called the non-emergency line, letting them know that this blue box has been compromised and there should be red tape or caution tape around it until they figure out who's going through their blue box. Is this going to happen to everybody? Now the bank, see, when I go to the bank and fill out a fraud form, yeah, that's a fraud form. So if they catch the guy, Deshaun Ridley, cashing the check. That's what they said. They caught him trying to cash the check. I don't know if they put him in jail or what. But all I'm saying is, if I filled out a fraud form, is the bank going to call the post office and enlighten them about the blue box? No, I think that's my civic duty as a Chesapeake resident, right? I'm supposed to go to the blue box and put caution tape on it? No, that's not my job. The bank, are the bank gonna call? Are they gonna call, the post office? I don't think so. We take federal offenses and messing with the mail system real seriously, but I don't believe anyone's put caution tape around that blue box. Like 2 days later, I saw another man go to try to put a letter in the blue box, and anyone else that does, I will go enlighten them. I will say, yeah. I don't think you should use that blue box. I tell him the story of what happened, and the guy didn't. He said thank you, and he didn't put the letter in there. So I'm realizing I just want to spread the word. If your blue USPS box has been compromised, maybe you should call the post office and enlighten them of this, and maybe even the non-emergency line, the Chesapeake Police Department. I question whether I should call them, because this is a federal offense. This is a serious offense. And I'm trying to figure out why my bank has not yet called the post office and got them to shut down this blue box and make a case on this. Do they have a camera on there? How do they find Deshaun Ridley and anyone else like him trying to compromise our mail system? Because my taxpayer dollars goes to represent and sustain the mail system. And it's a problem if my mail's not getting where it's at. Just take the blue box down. Go ahead and fire all the mailmen and women. And the mailmen and women, you know what I'm talking about. All of them. Go ahead and dismantle their service and tell me I have to use electronic services and payments like email and online. You know why I don't think they've left the snail mail? You know why I don't think we've gotten away from the post office? It's not because of people like me who prefer it, and it's not because of people like me who don't want to switch over to electronic services such as emails. I think, and phones. I think it's because they cannot stop fraud online and on phones. Because if you look at it now, they can't even stop fraud by the mail service. Now, obviously, this didn't have anything to do with the mailman. It's not like the mailman paid some guy to pull it out because he's tired of this and he's tired of delivering the mail, right? Why did someone try to fraud my check to the Chesapeake City Treasurer's office? Oh yeah, some guy was fishing for $4,400.10. Or is the DEA on their own prerogatives? That's what I question. My brain tends to expand a little bit more and say, how corrupt is our judicial system? Will justice be served equally? Do we still live in a land of freedom and equality? I don't know. But I do wonder, should I go to the post office? Now, I have jury duty this morning, and so I want to get to the post office as soon as possible. But I have to go to jury duty, and here I am making this video. I'm very frustrated. Everyone gets frustrated. Everyone in that court system's frustrated. I know they are. The fact that I have to go to jury duty is even more frustrating. I know anyone knows that pain. I don't care what you do in this society. Going to court makes people nervous, and it's frustrating. and I get paid $35 for it. That's awesome. I really don't even want the money. I'm doing this as a civic duty. All I'm saying is, if that blue box has been compromised, I guess it's not up to the bank to call the post office and enlighten them about what has happened. See, I didn't think about that. That's why I'm making this video, to enlighten you folks. If you have this happen in your blue box, your USPS federal mailing box has been compromised, you, as a citizen in your city, of your state, should probably call the USPS. I'm thinking about calling the non-emergency line Chesapeake Police Department, because I just realized, why is there not yellow tape around that box? I know about a year or two ago, I noticed yellow tape around the box, and I questioned it. I think I asked the mailman or something, and he said, oh, someone threw a stink bomb in there and it stunk or something. So they put caution tape around it. That got me thinking right now. I'm like, why isn't there caution tape? If this box has been compromised by a Deshaun Ridley, then I'd say there needs to be yellow tape. Obviously, my ABNB bank did not call the post office. That's not in their job description, even though this is a federal offense. I don't know about you, but I take federal offenses pretty seriously. So I'm going to call the post office and enlighten them that their box has been compromised, and I'm going to suggest to them that, I don't know what your course of action is to this, but I don't feel comfortable letting anyone around my neighborhood use that blue box if their letter's not going to get to where it's going. So if I see anybody use it, I'm going to enlighten them about it. But I didn't realize it was my job as a citizen. They didn't teach me this in the public school system. Maybe they taught it before 8th grade when my mom homeschooled me. But I don't believe that they taught me in school whose responsibility it was to stand up for the federal mail system. Is it my bank's responsibility? And even do they get paid enough? Is it their job? Is it Miss Raven Williams at ABNB Suffolk branch? Is it her job to report the fraud form and the blue box and call the post office in the city of Chesapeake? Maybe I should have went to the Greenbrier branch, because they're located in the city of Chesapeake. So they would have called the proper mail officials to enlighten them of what has happened. I'm just saying, I'm trying to figure out what to do. I don't want to waste the Chesapeake Police Department's time, but if my federal USP mailing box has been compromised, I don't want any of my other neighbors to go through what I went through. It's a form of terrorism. You've committed check fraud. That is a federal offense. Are we taking these things seriously? I hope so. So I'm just recommending to you, if your blue box is compromised, or a check you sent off in the mail has been deemed fraudulent, I recommend you go to the post office and tell them about what has happened. And talk to a manager or a woman manager. See if they're going to put caution tape around that box. I almost want to put a sign up there right now because I don't have time to get to the mail company. I almost want to put a sign up there right now saying, hey, to any Greenbrier, property association residents, please be aware that this blue box has been compromised once and it could happen again. Just because I can't get to the post office before I have to go to the circuit court, the general circuit court, I can't get to they don't open. I gotta be at the courtroom before I gotta be at before I can make it to the post office, because the post office opens at 8. I gotta be at the general circuit court in Chesapeake at 8 a.m. So yeah, I'm wondering if I should tape my own sign on that mailbox claiming it's been compromised. Maybe the mail guy will see it and he'll go ahead and look into it. Whose responsibility is it to shut that blue box down? Are we taking federal offenses seriously? Just curious, should I call the Chesapeake Police Department and enlighten them how our blue mailbox has been compromised? Who are the proper authorities? Because the bank didn't do it. I would have thought the bank and everybody took a federal offense serious enough to where that blue box would be shut down or it would be monitored. The CIA would have a GPS and a camera on a letter, on a check. They'd have a little GPS strip on a check and they'd put it in there and they would catch this Sean Ridley and they would say, I don't care if Tom smoked a pot every day after work his entire life. If you're DEA and you're going to commit a fraudulent federal offense as well, you're no better. We're going to catch you as well. If you wanted to take my house over drugs, the DEA, they should have to go politely ask somebody. That's my opinion. Sir, please quit smoking. Please quit doing drugs, and then we won't take your house. Okay, it's that serious. Okay, yes, sir. I won't do that anymore. You can't just talk to people anymore. People just want to take. They want to show their power. They can't just talk to people anymore. Neighborly went out the door, right? Went out the doors. Went out with the doors. All I'm saying, in my opinion, the DEA is allowed to seize and forfeiture. But if you ask me, you still have to go to court before it becomes theirs. It's called checks and balances. Who checks and balances the DEA and the FBI and the CIA and the Department of Defense and the military and the restoration company guy? Only reason I'm questioning checks and balances is because one of my checks, the balance was changed. That's frustrating to me. That's a federal offense.